Literally no one asked for this, but I'm going to give my opinion on My Brilliant Friend, the HBO show, as someone who's a big fan of The Neapolitan Quartet by Elena Ferrante. I started the show last summer on a plane to LA, and I have finally finished it. So there are 4 seasons for the 4 books, and each season has 8 episodes besides the last season, which has 10. It has been years since I finished reading the books, but from what I know and remember, this has to be the most loyal TV movie adaptation of a book there is. Nearly and maybe actually line for line the same. I believe Elena Ferrante was heavily involved in writing the script, as well as creative direction. In fact, I think that she personally chose the director herself. She also would check sets and props. And perhaps I have no footing to say this on as someone who does not really watch movies or TV shows, but that has to be one of the best shows ever made. Did it not win an Oscar? If TV shows win Oscars. I think they managed to make a show that's enjoyable for the actual readers, and also for people who didn't read the books and are just interested in cinema. I mentioned this before, but the casting was... It does seem that Hollywood chooses from the same pool of actors and actresses. So to see faces that looked so normal, it came across as so authentic. And from what I've read, it seemed that they casted within Naples. They wanted their cast to be able to speak the Neapolitan dialect authentically. Some of you told me that as an Italian, you also need subtitles for the Neapolitan, and I find that so interesting. Anyways, as the characters grow older, the cast does change 4 times for one of the characters. I personally and surprisingly loved each era's cast so much. I thought that they did a great job maintaining a uniform acting style for each character, especially the last actress for Lila. Her mannerisms, her expressions, her intonation while speaking was eerily the same as the previous actress for Lila. Also, I have to say that I loved the music throughout. I think a famous composer did the music or the score. Max Richter. I can never listen to Vivaldi's Spring the same. I also enjoyed hearing some of the Italian songs that were played throughout that I assume were popular in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I also really love that it was a show that you cannot binge. It never utilizes like instant gratification or cliffhangers to keep the audience watching. I think it's a show that you have to sit with and be present for. I really could only manage half an episode every other day, and I think that slow consumption of the story makes it so much more worth it in the end. You're watching their entire lives unfold. I loved the political discourse and the insight throughout the story. There was one part that really struck me when Pascal and Nadia came to visit Lenu, and he very passionately minimizes the importance of the arts, humanities, education, the intelligentsia. Pietro afterwards in anger tells Lenu that Pascal doesn't realize that he is also a fascist. Defunding and or controlling arts and literature is a common tactic in fascism. And in that conversation, if I remember correctly, I think Lenu defends Pascal, saying that Pietro doesn't understand where he comes from, his story. Pascal is really an interesting character because in the books, in the later books, you don't really hear much from him, and it's the same in the show. He represents someone who is a victim of violence and wrongdoing, immorality, and someone who strives to change those things for the better, but at the same time has difficulty in breaking that cycle of violence and control. Anyways, I won't go into any more detail because I don't want to spoil the story for any of you. If you're not familiar with the story, it follows 2 women, Elena and Lila, from childhood until they're much older. It's also a really interesting, detailed snapshot of society and politics in Italy from the 50s until the end of the 20th century. And that snapshot is done through the lens of girlhood and womanhood. There are so many things that you can take from it, but I think ultimately it's a story that centers a universal theme, and that is the very human desire to be known, to be understood, and confirmed in the eyes of another. So yes, I definitely recommend the TV show if you've read the books. If you haven't read the books, you gotta read them first. I bought a lilac plant. It's called Bloomerang Dark Purple Reblooming Lilac. And I think it's supposed to bloom in the spring. Oh, it says spring, summer, and fall. Amazing. I got lilac because I heard they're pretty sturdy, and I don't know, I don't think I have a green thumb personally, but I wanted to ask some advice. I bought this pot to go with it that has a drainage hole, and I was reading that I'm supposed to keep the plant in the grower pot and then just put this into the ceramic pot. Is that correct? Or should I repot this into this? For now, I think I'm just gonna put this in there since I just got this, and it might be a little bit shocked to be in a new environment. I know. I stole food from my mom. I'm just kidding. I asked her. These are mini anchovies, stir-fried mini anchovies. I love with walnuts. This is squid. Oh, she put some peanuts. I love this. This is spicy stir-fried fish cakes. I also like the non-spicy version. And then she told me that she just made this kimchi. Maybe sacrilege, but I don't actually like kimchi that much. I do, but not as much as some other people do. Happy weekend, you guys. I'm about to head out to get my car washed because maybe like a week ago I parked under a tree and I guess a bunch of birds were in the tree and using the bathroom. I don't know, to be honest, that doesn't really bother me, so I just kept it like that. But then one of my friends saw my car and he was disgusted. No matter what, the car is gonna get dirty. But then I saw my friend twice, one on purpose and then one by chance in the last week. And when he saw my car the second time, he couldn't believe that I had not cleaned off all the bird poop yet. The place I'm going to is near a bookstore. So while my car is getting washed, I'm gonna go peruse the bookstore, the used bookstore. Before I make myself lunch, I wanted to give you guys a reading update. I'm currently reading The Constant Nymph by Margaret Cagnati. I can't believe it's taken me so long to pick up a book by Margaret Cagnati. I've been aware of her because of McNally editions, their printings of her book. And also I think I have 2 of these Virago Modern Classics, the older green spines of her books, because I collect the Virago green spines. And I'm sad that I waited so long because I love this. I have to say this is probably my favorite read so far of the year. And it's not because it has an interesting plot that speaks to me. It is purely the writing style. The way her sentences flow, she's such a smart writer. She's humorous. The humor is very dry and British. And the characterization, each character is so unique and interesting, so sharply written and yet so real. Yeah, I am loving this. I am about halfway done. I want to finish it this weekend. I'm gonna take this out with me as well in case I have time to read somewhere. And then I wanted to share the perfume I'm wearing today, which is Maison Mataha's Printemps Blanc. This is a beautiful white floral. I think it's neroli, but there's some like fluffy vanilla and musk in there. And then I also wanted to mention this perfume. This is Ex Nihilo's Fleur Narcotic. I personally don't care about getting compliments from strangers, but I know that's a selling point for a lot of people. So I wanted to mention this. I started wearing this on warmer days and so many men have complimented me on this perfume. I feel like I rarely get compliments from men on my perfume. I always get compliments from women in particular, which I love. I do think men are self-aware and perhaps they realize if they go up to a woman and say, "You smell really good," they could be perceived as creepy. I was wearing this when I went to go get my car inspected. But the guy who did my inspection quickly, he was like, "I don't want to be inappropriate, but whatever you're wearing smells amazing." And he asked me what it was for his wife. I was so flattered. And I hope that he buys this for his wife. So yeah, if you care, that's my field research on this perfume, Ex Nihilo's Fleur Narcotic. Kind of reminds me of an elevated Sweet Pea from Bath & Body Works, which I believe Sweet Pea is a peony scent, unless Sweet Pea is a different flower. Hello guys, I'm back home and I've come to the same exact spot I was sitting in earlier. I went to Sephora and I was not planning to go to Sephora, but I'll show you what I got. After going to the bookstore, I went to the park and I found a nice shady bench to sit on. And I was gonna sit there and read. It was really hot outside, but I thought, you know, I could at least kill like 15 minutes, 20 minutes sitting there. And then I was gonna film like a little book haul of everything I got. You know, I'm not someone who gets upset, mad, or like uncomfortable if like a stranger approaches me. I don't like have an issue with it. I always welcome a conversation with a stranger and I'm sympathetic. People are lonely. They want to connect with others. How can they do so? You got to talk to others. However, it does kind of annoy me when someone approaches me and they create some elaborate story or excuse as to why they're approaching me instead of getting to the actual point or getting to the actual question that they want to ask. Like this person asked me for directions to get to somewhere. So I pulled out my phone to search the place for him so that he could get there. And then they sat down on the bench next to me and then asked if they can sit down next to me afterwards, and then got really close and was looking at my phone screen to see the directions, you know, and then he's asking all these questions about me and like where I live, what I'm doing there, what are my plans. And I could tell from his questions that he thought I was like a freshman in college, which I personally find absurd. Freshmen in college look like fresh tulips sprouting out of the earth. They have a lively glint in their eyes and they're ready to take on the world. I am a withered hydrangea bush. Also, something else, this person kept saying stuff like, oh, you probably hate tourists, like, all the tourists here, like, no, I don't have a problem with the tourists. Most of the tourists are children on trips. I don't feel any which way about them, sir. Why in that moment did this person create a hypothetical hoity-toity personality for me and then was using it to mock me? I gave him the directions and then I was waiting for him to leave. And plus he kept saying that he really wanted a coffee, he really wanted a drink. So I thought he was gonna leave soon to go get his coffee. I wanted to continue sitting there on the bench and do what I had planned to do, but it didn't seem like he was gonna leave to get this coffee. So I said to have a safe trip and I hope he finds his destination okay. And then that's when he asked me to get a coffee with him and for my number. But you know what's interesting? This isn't the first time where someone is so like super friendly and outgoing, and then as soon as you don't give them what they want, they don't look as friendly anymore. Also, when he was talking to me, another person walked by and was like looked at both of us and then was grinning at the guy and nodding. Like, I'm sorry, is there an inside joke that I'm not aware of? Anyways, because of that, I felt so harried and I went into a safe place. And not that this person made me feel unsafe per se, just a little bit annoyed because I wanted to sit on the bench by myself reading for a little bit. Anyways, I'll show you what I got at Sephora. I picked up another The Ordinary Azelaic Acid Suspension 10%. I love this. Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint. I actually have this in shade 2 and I went and I got shade 4. And then I also picked up the matching concealer, Yummy Skin Lift and Flex Concealer, also in shade 4. I believe 4 is neutral. Ciel's Broad Spectrum SPF 45 Sunscreen Blush in the color Shy. That's a cute name. I think this looks like a nice sun-kissed pinky color, peachy pink color. Mary Phillips Lipsiggy in the color First Base. I have this in 2 other colors, a very sheer, natural, almost like a lip balm. And then I got Glossier You Soie, the new one. I know people have been asking me to review it. And I did not get it in PR, so I just went to buy it for myself. I did see some reviews from people saying that they were unimpressed by the scent. It's just a typical like beachy sunscreen perfume. And I was not even planning to buy it. I was just curious about the smell. As soon as I smelled it, oh my God, this smells like dusk at the beach, warm skin, cozy summer vibes. It smells so good. It does have that sunscreeny smell, but it's not like a fresh dipping into the Mediterranean type of summer perfume. It's so cozy, like wrapped in a towel, warm. It kind of smells like rice. It almost smells like Le Papier to me. I don't know anything about this perfume. I should look up the notes. It smells so good. And then at the market that they have, I picked up these 2 prints. I'm gonna go get framed. This one is Climbing Miege. Mountain climbers rate it as one of the most difficult peaks in the world to ascend. I'm really into mountains, specifically Mount Everest, and I have probably read every single text you can find on climbing Mount Everest. No idea why, because I don't plan to climb Mount Everest. I just think, like, I can't believe Mount Everest is out there. I think this is very nice, and if I remove this mat and just put a thin wooden frame, I think it will look wonderful. And then I also got this because I thought it was fun, although I couldn't solve it. It says it's a pictorial double acrostic, and it says that this is the fun Christmas number. I love stuff like this because it's like unique. It's one of one. And from a ceramic pottery stand, I bought these from a lady who makes them. I love the firefly and the blue with the little bit of brown. I've been needing a spatula rest, spoon rest, and I thought that this was very lovely. As for the used books I picked up, I got these 2 matching Virginia Woolfs. They both have the same font, typeface, 3 guineas. These are her, I think these are 3 essays, or they're her 3 responses to 3 questions. And then I also got A Room of One's Own, and I'm thinking of giving this to a friend because I'm pretty sure I have a copy of this. I don't know though, because I did see that somebody underlined in this and took notes. I think perhaps I need to keep this for myself and give my friend my new copy. I also got this edition of E.M. Forster's Where Angels Fear to Tread. And then I got Fear and Trembling, The Sickness Unto Death by Kierkegaard. And this cover, I already know from looking at it, has been illustrated by Edward Gorey. He did a lot of covers like this that just have the text for Doubleday Anchor Book. So even though he's not credited, I know this is him. This paperback, Feral, by Burton Ruesch. Fabulous cover, and there's a nice ex libris inside. From the library of Stanley Wyatter. This looks fun. Maybe I'll save this for October. And then I got Deerbrook, and this is the older Virago Modern Classic. I've been wanting this one for a while. However, I do know that Penguin either still prints or used to print a really nice copy of Deerbrook as well. It's the Penguin with the black spine, the classics. This Virago Modern Classic edition, I always see it being sold for like quite a pretty penny, like 50 bucks online, which is pretty expensive for a used book. So I'm happy I found this there. And for 8 bucks. Although I really don't like the font in this one. It's like reading the Declaration of Independence. And that's it. Anyways, now I'm going to vacuum. Hey guys, I have been cleaning all day. I wanted to see if I could find a moment to finish The Constant Nymph by Margaret Cagnati today, but I haven't so far. Although I only have about, I think 20 pages left, so maybe tonight, and then I can share some thoughts about it. Something happened that made me dislike the story a little bit. I still really love the writing though, and I'm interested to see how it ends. I was doing some major deep cleaning of my bathrooms and like vacuuming, changing my bed sheets. I also vacuumed yesterday, but when you have litter boxes and cats and black wood floors, you vacuum every moment. And one time my friend was staying here with me and I realized, oh, maybe she thinks it's weird that every night before bed, I furiously start vacuuming. Anyways, I'm sick of cleaning and I want to eat cookies. So I saw this Martha Stewart recipe. Martha Stewart recently posted this on Instagram, her crisp and chewy chocolate chip cookies. I personally love a crisp, chewy cookie, so I'm gonna try making these. I think I might switch out the chocolate chips for vanilla chips because I bought those recently. Wait a second. You'll often see instructions to age cookie dough in the refrigerator before baking overnight. The main advantage is a more uniform golden color and a slightly more gooey texture, but this is not necessary. Oh, okay, good. I set out the butter like 30 minutes ago, so it might not be softened enough, but whatever. I'll gather the other ingredients. Ooh, this is pretty soft. Okay. Light brown sugar, granulated sugar, baking soda, baking powder, Clabber Girl. What a name. Pure vanilla extract, 2 large eggs, room temperature. Oh no. Unbleached all-purpose flour, 6 ounces semi-sweet chocolate chips, 5 of these. Maybe should I mix chocolate and vanilla? This is so freaking heavy. Okay. No, because it's getting serious if I took out the apron. Nice. I think I'm just gonna use vanilla chips. It looks good. 2 inches apart. 6 cookies per sheet? I only have 1 sheet. I swear my hands are clean. I mean, you all aren't eating them, so. Ta-da! These are gonna go in for 9 minutes. I'm gonna put these 3 in my smaller toaster oven, and then the rest I'm gonna make into balls and then put on a plate, freeze in the freezer, and then once they're frozen, put them in a bag to make later. They're so big. I accidentally hit that one with my thing. I'm supposed to hit them? Bang on stovetop. I mean, they already look pretty deflated. Return to oven and bake 3 minutes. I think they're done. So it says to set them on the wire rack for 5 minutes before moving them. They definitely look homemade. I'll eat this ugly one. They're very vanilla, which I like. I'm going to finish, I think, the last 20 pages. Yes, the last 20 pages of The Constant Nymph by Margaret Kennedy. I'm actually so curious about how this is going to end. I'm a little iffy about what's taking place currently. Once I finish this book, I have spine binding glue. I think that's something like that. I haven't done it yet because I can't open the book for a while once I glue it back in, but I'll do that after I finish the book. Until then, it's just loose. I really need to stop breaking the spines of my books, especially old books. A lot of times when you guys go vintage book shopping, you always need to check this part, the spine, because if it's dried and cracked, the book will fall apart, unfortunately. So always check the spine with older vintage books. Something happened at the end of this book that was quite shocking. I did not see it coming at all. I guess there were hints. And it was so shocking that when I first read it through, I thought that the character who was observing the situation was speaking in abstract terms. In the next chapter, or a few pages later, the thing that occurred is announced to someone else. And I was like, what? And I had to go back and reread that section. I guess that was for the best because things were looking a little bit strange. Despite my consternation, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I mostly enjoyed her writing style and I loved her characterization. I think that she has an excellent read on people and at the same time, her characters feel very realistic in that manner, but they're also so unique, like such unique individuals. And despite all of them having different personalities, different characteristics, I found every single one of them so endearing. It also was very humorous. It had a very dry humor that I enjoyed. Yeah, that was a fantastic romp, it felt like. I can't wait to read more by Margaret Kennedy. I want to read The Feast this summer. I actually was going to read that last summer. It sounds like a great one for like a summer vacation read. I also have The Ladies of Linden, I'm pretty sure, which I was reading about on the back. But then I think it's a love story between cousins. I don't know if I'm in the mood for cousin love. Anyways, I'm going to go gather some books. I've picked out 4 books that I am currently keen to read. Maybe I'll do an Instagram poll because I know people enjoy those. I'll narrow the choice down to 2. So I feel like I should read the last in the trilogy for Kristin, Lavransdatter by Sigrid Undset. The third one is The Cross, because I feel like if I don't read it now, like in quick succession after the first 2 books, it'll be 2 years before I finish the trilogy. However, I'm just kind of tired of Kristin and Erlen. I don't want to hear from them right now. And then I have Sunflower by Gyula Krúdy. I totally thought that this was a woman author, but Gyula is actually a man. My mistake. It seems that he was a very famous Hungarian author who says he haunted the taverns of Budapest. His writing is dreamy, macabre, comic, and erotic. And this book, Sunflower, is about a young lady named Eveline who leaves the city and goes back to her country estate so that she can forget her charming lover, someone that she loves. And then while there, she meets a melancholic guy. And it seems that there's some elements of fantasy or mythology here. I love a Hungarian author. Actually, that's not true. I just love Magda Szabó, but perhaps if I read more Hungarian authors, I would find that I love Hungarian literature in general. And because it's called Sunflower, I feel like this is appropriate for spring, but that's just my guess. And then another book that I think sounds great for spring, although it also sounds very bleak. This is The Child in the River by Henri Bosco. This is a super short one. I feel like I might as well start it. This, I believe, is translated from French. Yes, translated from French, but he is apparently Italian. On the back, this is described as a French Huckleberry Finn, and Henri Bosco himself recommends this as a very good novel for children, adolescents, and poets. I'm none of those things. This is about a young boy who gets lost. A group of, I don't think I'm supposed to say that word. I think the Romani, he joins them at their camp. And it's kind of described as being about a lost childhood. It sounds similar to The Lost Estate by Elaine Fournier. So that's an option. I'm also very excited to read this, which has the most darling cover I've ever seen. What is this painting? This is Farm at Wattenlath by Dora Carrington, 1921. Crazy Genie by Inès Cagnati. I believe she's French, right? So this is about a young girl who lives with her mother in a little town in rural France. And it says that the townspeople call her mother Crazy Genie, and she's kind of an outcast in the town. Options. I think I'm going to narrow it down to Sunflower or Crazy Genie. And I'll put a poll on Instagram. I have a feeling Crazy Genie is gonna win, right? Because the cover's so darling. Well, I don't know. I actually quite like this lady as well.